Jess here and welcome to Dining Table Mukbang. So, I don't really own a table that would work for mukbang, but I have a bunch of cookies from a fairly new maker in Seattle called Sugar and Spice. I have my milk tea from Milk and Cookies, and I thought, you know, I can probably finish off most of this. So let's try this whole mukbang thing and see if I actually like it. Because I've been considering doing a variation of the mukbang for a while now, mainly because I like the idea of having cake in various locations and talking about it. So, well, not quite what I want to do, at least have my tiny table, and we can talk about cookies. So Sugar and Spice make really interesting cookies. They have black sesame toffee, they have Hong Kong milk tea, they have Sichuan hot chocolate, clearly eating that last, and marshmallow. So you got lots of tea. This is a very Taiwanese, Chinese, Japanese flavor profile, and they all sound pretty darn tasty. They are $3 a pop, so they're a little expensive for day-to-day eats, but as a treat, it's nice. And I have my favorite signature milk tea from Young Tea. Please do not ask me which my favorite bubble tea shop is in Seattle. I really have a couple that are my favorite. This is just the one that was by Maya, and I do love Young Tea quite a bit. So, yay! Let's try it first. Nice clean tea flavor. And yeah, I own one of their reusable containers because apparently it feels nice to be vaguely eco-friendly against all the plastic I'm creating for this video. It's clean and milky sweet. It just makes me so happy. It feels like childhood in a way, even though I did not like bubble tea as a kid actually. So I knew about bubble tea when I was younger because there was bubble tea in Seattle in the 90s and early 2000s. But how I used to actually get bubble tea is there's a spot in Bellevue called Cafe Ori, and they made smoothies, which are really just fruit and ice, and they would put the boba at the bottom, and that was my introduction to bubble tea. I didn't drink actual milk tea until I was a late teenager. Didn't like it because it was super sweet. Ugh. And then a few years ago, I realized that bubble tea could have less sugar, and that was really awesome. All right, so Sichuan hot chocolate should clearly be last. Let's start with marshmallow. I'm actually not a huge matcha fan, so it kind of feels nice to get this one out of the way, even though the marshmallow does look interestingly smushed. Let's get you a better look. Come on, come on. Oh, it's stuck, it's stuck, it's stuck, it's stuck, it's stuck. Ah. It's kind of like holding a floppy pancake. It's so chewy. Oh my goodness. That is not how a cookie behaves. Oh wow. Okay. Well, it smells very, very sweet. Like I'm smelling butter, not much of the green tea. Okay, there it is. Like it's got like a butter start and then a green tea finish for the for how it smells. Let's try some. But it's so floppy. I do feel like I'm eating a soft, chewy pancake that has a little bit of a green tea center. It's not super sweet, and there's all chew. There's none of that like sugar cookie crispness. It's just doing its thing. Okay. But it's a very buttery cookie. A little oily in that there's so much butter that it comes through with a little bit of an oily finish, but it's still a very good cookie. What I'm most surprised by is how little flavor of matcha really comes through from the marshmallow. I was expecting there to be a lot of matcha flavor. Part of it could be that I got these guys at the end of the day, so maybe it's more flavorful early on. But marshmallows can last a good while, and I'm more tasting like an air of matcha rather than intensity of matcha, which is surprising. But still very chewy, very clean butter cookie flavor. I do wish it wasn't looking like a pancake. That may have just been bad luck on this cookie's part. It actually helps intensify the tea's flavor, surprisingly, because it's so sweet. It makes this guy a bit more bitter flavored, which is nice. Let's go for Hong Kong milk tea next. I feel like it's one of her riffs on making a chocolate chip cookie. Looking at the ingredients to try and see. Yeah, there's a milk tea chocolate in here. So the chocolate is actually white chocolate that's had, wait, what? Sorry, it looked like I was misreading the ingredients. So the tea chocolate in here has Ceylon tea leaves and white chocolate. Nice. I am wondering why there's corn syrup in this cookie. Is it going to be very chewy? And yeah, we'll see how it goes. This looks and behaves like a chocolate chip cookie right now. Just looks like a chocolate chip cookie. It smells very buttery again too. Should probably get a thumbnail somewhere in this. Let's try making a thumbnail happen. I have no clue what I'm doing with these thumbnail things. Okay, I do like, let's see. Show you it. I do like how big the chocolate chunks are. That looks really satisfying. But let's break this apart so I can show you it. These cookies are all going for the maximum chew here. Well, I am concerned about, again, this one feels like it's gonna be a very buttery cookie. So we'll see. I'd like to see more of a chocolate chip behavior. It doesn't mean it's a bad cookie. It just means I'm hoping for a chocolate chip cookie. So the cookie, again, doesn't have a lot of flavor, but the chocolate has all the flavor. Oh my goodness. It feels like I'm just eating a pile of tea with a butter finish and some chew around it. You have to really, really like tea because it is just tea. All the tea. Starts with tea, ends with tea, some butter and cream notes in the middle and maybe a little bit of chew. Some vanilla hanging out somewhere in there, but it is tea. I am breathing tea, eating tea, living tea, drinking tea. Can't complain about that. Since the chocolate has some pretty big chunks, it is a little hard to eat with my teeth recovering from the fillings I just had, which are not related to my bad eating. In this case, it's actually some of my older fillings just had an age issue. I wish they were a little bit smaller chunks so we'd have more of a scattered tea flavor, because that piece right here is going to be intense. Oh my goodness. And it is. You know, I'm really loving that Seattle's finally starting to get some of these pop-ups and smaller makers existing in stores, because I picked these guys up from Wajimaya. And we only recently have started to see these super tiny makers have pop-ups where they might have their product in a bigger store and maybe just one bigger store, as opposed to hunting them down or emailing them or hoping that you actually catch the person's in-store pop-up. Instead it's just, oh hey, they have cookies and you can get some. And that's happening more and more with these smaller makers, and I'm here for this. I think the problem I'm having here is that I really like the flavor of the cookie and the tea, but my brain sees it and wants a chocolate chip cookie, and so when I'm not getting individual chocolate pieces to go with it, like I think that there was dark chocolate chunks scattered in little small ones, that would make the tea really pop. Because the white chocolate means that you're just tasting tea because the white chocolate's kind of acting as a blank canvas in this case. There's not much white chocolate flavor coming through, it's just all tea. I just wanted to eat those and think. Yeah, the butteriness of the cookie is really interesting. Just because it's surprising against a traditional, you know, Chinese flavor to have tea and butter together. My brain is making references in my head to like Nepalese tea, but it's still also got that creaminess that you would see in a milk tea, which is nice. Well, so I just have milk tea right here. I admit, thanks to my inadvertent choice of shirt and the fact that we put my stuff in the reusable container, that I feel like a giant walking ad right now. On the other hand, I like the brands that I'm wearing, so not sponsored. Would like to be sponsored. All right, on to Sichuan hot chocolate. I don't even want to finish these cookies, to be honest. I'm pretty happy having eaten 2, so I think I'll just taste test these guys because I already know this is good. Like, it's really good. So this one, yeah, it's got Sichuan peppercorns, so I'm expecting that same buttery cookie, but with, well, Sichuan peppercorns. I actually want to check something really fast. So what I'm looking to do is I want to see the ingredients are reading in the same order and ingredient options, because I'm wondering, okay. Yeah, so I actually think that all these guys do have the same base cookie. The first 2 tasted the same, and it's something where it means I'm less inclined to eat more right now because I'm eating the same thing, just with different additives. This isn't a ding on sugar and spice per se. It's actually a pretty reasonable business sense to do similar flavors using the same base dough and then expanding on it. It's that they just all taste the same. So I think that as she scales, it would be nice to have something with different flavors, or maybe just different sugars would even fix it up. But if she's really, this might be one person doing this alone making cookies, and so you really can't ding someone at all when they're starting out like this. And they've got a pretty good product. I'm just noticing the butter as someone who eats a lot of dessert, you know, as a professional, and I want to see variation, and that's just a personal preference. If I was getting these as a one-off, this consistency and flavor would not be even noticed, and you wouldn't care. Because really, you'd be eating a cookie, you know? That's just what I'm noticing as eating all 4, and I've never had all 4 together. In fact, I've never had more than 1 at a time. So it's really interesting for me to catch this. So, learning! Might not be the learning you were expecting or thinking you'd get out of this little video, but here we are. Which also means I can really get away with not eating more of these. Yay! So, Sichuan hot chocolate. So it's got Sichuan peppercorns in it, and whoo boy! I can see, it looks like chocolate in the peppercorn bits. Easier to see on the back. Actually, looking into the light, it kind of looks like a cookie and chocolate stained glass window. That's kind of cool. Smells like heat. Like, I just smell the Sichuan peppercorns. And also, this is a much stiffer dough, surprisingly. kind of happy about that. Let's try this guy. This actually feels like where sugar and spice starts to really shine. This has a little bit of heat, it has a little bit of chocolate, it has the butter. It's a good all-around cookie. I feel like I love these flavors in a cookie or in shortbread. They'd both be amazing. As it is, it's got a nice chew. It's a nice density of cookie. I want to try an edge bit though. A little bit more caramelization gives it a bit more depth of flavor, a bit more of a buttery note, and a lot more spice in that bite actually, dang. This guy feels like a very elevated cookie. It's taking a basic dough and going somewhere and bringing that little bit of heat, because it's not a lot of heat. I can handle it. I'm not a huge spice buff, but I appreciate that heat. I wonder how it would be with some salt. I always want salt, but I like the idea of salt and heat and sweet all coming together. It'd be magic. Time for a tea break. I really do love how chewy boba is. It's delightful. All right, last but not least, black sesame toffee. This is definitely my favorite out of her stuff that I've had before. It's got, like, if you like black sesame, you're gonna love this cookie. That's where we're going. It is very chewy though. You have to be ready for that. This feels extra chewy, so we'll see. Smells, there's a lot more of a sesame buttery note to it, which I do appreciate. So let's try it. Look, it's butter and sesame, and it's chewy. There's not much more to say about this, because I've said it all about the dough already. I do wish this particular cookie had more sesame in it. That's just me. I've had more for cookies with more sesame though. Alright, I'm gonna call it here for the sake of my stomach, because eating 4 cookies in a row, they're all from the same batch of dough. Please no. My ranking order though, let's rank these. Number 1, black sesame. Number 2, Sichuan hot chocolate. Number 3, Hong Kong milk tea. Number 4, matcha. The matcha just didn't have that much flavor. I wanted more out of it. That might have been that particular cookie. That's a thing that happens with batches, and I'm totally willing to give it another shot. But also I don't really like matcha enough in desserts to merit trying it again. Number 3, the Hong Kong milk tea, really good milk tea flavor, but I wanted some personally I wanted some balance. I wanted some dark chocolate or some salt, something to both elevate the tea and let it stand out in its own right. I'm going for number 2 with the Sichuan hot chocolate, because really there's a nice balance there. I'm not gonna eat it as my regular cookie, but I do like it for that little bit of heat, and it's a really nice pick-me-up for the afternoon. I feel like it'd be good with high tea. And of course, I can't go wrong with black sesame, ever. Black sesame is amazing. I always have an excuse in my mind so I can go eat black sesame, so I'm glad to have it in cookie form. So that was my little foray into trying to do a mini mukbang on my tiny table. And I would love to hear from you now in those comments. Is this something you're interested in? I'm gonna try and do a better background next time. I'm shooting this as literally the 4th video I've done this day, because I'm trying to get ready for having some stuff done where I may not be able to shoot for a few days, and so I wasn't as focused on making the background work. And honestly, this is my Apple box I should explain what an apple box is. An apple box is a type of box used in videography and photography. It has 3 positions and it used to be made out of an apple crate. Now it's just a box, and this is my apple box. So I'm learning here. There will be better tiny tables, and there will be more cookies hopefully, and cake. And in fact, another mukbang coming up. Different kind though. So with that, I will see you tomorrow. Laters!